Hey there, Knicks fans! How you doing? It's your boy Jonathan Macri with you for not quite an emergency live stream. We know what's coming, so it's not really an emergency. But a live stream nonetheless. In the middle of the summer. I hope everybody's doing well. I can't believe it has already been 2.5 months since the Knicks season ended. I mean, I know I've obviously recorded a lot of podcasts since then, but I think in terms of live streams, probably about a half dozen or so between free agency and the McCall extension, Tibbs getting fired, Mike Brown getting hired. It's been a lot of stuff that's gone on. You know, Yabusele signing, although I think that may have happened during the free agency live stream. Whatever. It's been a lot of stuff that's happened, but it's weird. I feel like through it all, I never got a chance to catch my breath. And now it's been a little while. It feels it feels like it's been settled for a bit. We've been doing the 25 for 25. Shout out to everybody who has enjoyed that series, both in the podcast version and obviously on YouTube here, in which we're counting down the 25 best Knicks of the last 25 seasons. And also everybody who's enjoying my personal rankings and my write-ups in the Knicks Film School newsletter on Substack. Speaking of which, some quick plugs. Don't forget, if you are maybe new to Knicks Film School or you've been here for a while and just don't know about it, be sure to follow us on all forms of social media at Knick Film School. That is SKOOL, where we are. I feel like we say this every year. We've said at least the last few years. We're going to try to start utilizing the social media arms of what we do here a little bit more. I'm putting my own feet to the fire this year. We're going to really start to try to do that this season. So make sure you follow us on all of your social media outlets. And we're here to talk about the schedule release, which is like, it's funny. I think we make a huge deal of this if you're a fan of an NFL team, and a slightly less big deal, but still a big deal of it if you're an NBA fan, even though, just like is the case in the NFL, we know who the Knicks are going to play. Like, we know who they are going to play over the course of their 82 games. It's not like that there is any mystery as to who is going to be on the Knicks schedule. There is a little bit of uncertainty, obviously, as to how good some teams will be. But I think, I don't know. I did shout out to another arm of what we do. Shout out to all my Knicks Film School patrons. I did a Patreon podcast a few weeks ago in which I, in real time, guessed the over-under win totals of all 30 NBA teams and then cross-checked it with what the actual over-under win totals were. And I think for all but 3 or 4 teams, I won't say all but 4 teams, I was within 3, give or take, wins or losses. And it's not that I, have any great ability here. All of us kind of know what to expect from all these teams. So it's not even like there's a ton of mystery going into the season as to how good a lot of these teams are going to be. And yet, there's always an and yet. And yet, we still make a big deal out of this. And I think the reason for that is, maybe not as much as an NFL schedule, but certainly a lot. NBA seasons kind of take on a feel. They certainly take on a feel once you're in them, but even before you start them, you look at them, you look at obviously stretches of where it's heavy on the road. If you're an East Coast team, where the West Coast swings, and you look for back-to-backs, you look for 3 and 4 days. Thankfully, the NBA got rid of 4 and 5 days a few years back. And you look for soft spots. You look for spots where it looks like it's going to be a little bit more difficult, and you kind of get a sense of like, okay, here's a stretch where you can maybe rack up some wins, and then here is the stretch that is going to define your season. And I've done this exercise, gone live during an NBA schedule release for the last few years, and I feel like, I don't know, it's like hit and miss in terms of like what we think is going to happen matching up with what is actually going to happen. I will say, and Andrew Claudio is here behind the scenes. I don't know how much he's going to want to hop on here. He knows he's always welcome, but he's had to see a lot of me the last few days, so he's probably sick of me. From as memory serves, I think our assessment of last year's schedule. There's Andrew. He's picking the right hat out. He needs to get there. It is. Got to get the right headwear on. If memory serves, my prognostications, and not just mine, all of our collective prognostications were fairly accurate in that we identified the beginning of the season was going to be a tough stretch. They were going to come out of the gate with a lot of hard games, right? And what did they start off, 7-6 last year? Or am I making that up?
Actually, I've blacked out a lot of last year. I know they had a winning streak in December, and then they were ass from like January until Brunson got hurt.
That's actually a perfect summation of the next season.
And then Brunson came back, and they couldn't beat anybody from Cleveland, OKC, or Boston until the playoffs when they beat Boston. Yeah.
So
your prognostication for every schedule release we've had is that the Knicks have a tough schedule because you think every team the Knicks play is tough.
Yes, but I remember specifically last season. I'm looking at it right now. I am not crazy. They did start off 7-6. They actually started off 5-6. So and now it's coming back to me. I remember looking at the first 10 games and saying to myself, the Knicks would do well to go 500. Now, was that me having too much respect for the opponents? Probably, but it was also a tough schedule. And they started off 5-5, then they fell to 5-6, and then they got to 7-6. And then we looked at December and we're like, gotta clean up in December because then things get dicey. And sure enough, they went on the aforementioned winning streak in December. The tough part in analyzing last year is that when things started to get dicey and the Knicks were essentially a 500 team from January 3rd, because they were 20. Man, the Knicks were 24-10 after they beat Utah.
Yes,
on New Year's Day.
They played OKC that Friday night.
Yes, they did, and that was
lost
really exciting for 45 minutes.
Yeah, we thought this is a finals matchup, and you know what? It almost was the finals. To be completely honest.
I was in a good mood today. I'm here at my house. There's all kinds of shit getting done to my house. I'm getting a dishwasher. We bought a house without a dishwasher. Don't ask me why. But so we're getting our dishwasher finally after I purchase it tomorrow morning. But like the preparation for the dishwasher is happening. Like these are all good things. I'm getting the water line connected to the fridge. Get some ice. Who's not excited about ice? Fresh ice. Is there unfresh ice?
I guess. Like
I guess.
Ice you leave in the freezer? Yeah.
If you go in to get some water from like I don't know, some river in Staten Island, and freeze it, that's probably not going to be fresh ice. Shout out to everybody from Staten Island. I'm from Staten Island, so I can make that joke. So don't kill me.
Shout out homeowner problems too.
Shout out to well, there you go. But anyway, so they were 24-10, and then 14 games over 500, and then let's see, they were
rest of the season they were 7 games over 500.
But they were 40-23 after they lost to the Clippers. That was their third straight loss, and so that they were 17 over. So they essentially picked up 4 more games over 500, but in like almost 2.5 months. So yeah, they were a little bit better than a 500 team for close to 2.5 months. I mean, but my point is, we looked at the schedule ahead of time and we're like, yeah, there's some tough stretches, but how much of the Knicks not succeeding during that stretch was because those stretches were tough, or more likely something was just off with the team, in addition to OG Anunoby going down with an injury, and then eventually Jalen Brunson going down with an injury, although they played pretty well in the Brunson-less stretch. And that's the other thing with this schedule release is like, we know injuries are going to happen. When do the injuries happen? Do injuries coincide with one another, to the point where they'll absolutely torpedo a portion of your season? Hello, Philly. Did I say a portion of your season? I'm sorry. I meant your entire season. or your entire 10-year plan. 6 of one, half does the other.
Happens when you build your house on a what is it? The wise man builds his house upon the rocks, and the Philadelphia 76ers built their house upon a pile of dog shit.
This is not nice.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. Someone read an article about said pile of dog shit.
I was going to ask you. You know what we should do? We should do a live stream read of that article, which I still have not read, with a box of tissues, and we'll see how many tissues we go through as we're reading the Embiid article.
You know what? We use a tissue as many times as it mentions that he nearly ended Mitchell Robinson's career. How's that?
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
I'll shed, not literally, but I will shed metaphorical tears for Tyrese Halliburton and Jason Tatum. I hate Tyrese Halliburton, but he's a respectable human being, and Joel Embiid can
go to hell. Yeah, he can get some. Yeah, there you go. He can get some for all the kids. He can get some. I have a question before the schedule is actually released for you.
You have about a minute and a half. Go.
You know what? I'm going to guarantee they don't release it in a minute and a half. But this is the Knicks' regular season schedule, John. I don't know if you know this.
I was actually aware that they weren't releasing the postseason schedule tonight.
And I allege that this is one of the more meaningless isn't the word I mean. Like, I'm going to enjoy watching basketball because I like watching the Knicks play basketball. And obviously we will live and die with every Knicks basketball game. But current favorites to win the East, or one of the two favorites to win the East, with the Cavs, are just showcased on every major holiday this upcoming year. It seems as if there is a lot to look forward to in April and May, barring injury. So do you still have the same excitement? And I would pose this to the chat too, if you want to send in your responses. Do you still have the same excitement for the regular season and its schedule release, knowing this team has April, May, and I'll just say it, June aspirations ahead of them?
Excitement and nerves and all of the emotions that come with it. Yes, because for a couple of reasons, but just to put the cart before the horse, this is the most meaningless, not in the sense of we had a lot of meaningless seasons the last 20 years. Not that kind of meaningless. This is the most, I don't know what other word to use, but like meaningless regular season since 93, 94. Because obviously in 92, 93, they won 60 games and it did them a whole lot of bupkis after the first two games against the Bulls. This is the same thing. Or no, it's actually not the same thing, because that team returned the entire core. I think the only additions they made were Monty Williams and Charlie Ward, who they took in the draft, and the same coach, more importantly. This team, and this goes back to the first part of what I said, why this is not anticlimactic, why this is not bereft of excitement and nerves and all the things, is because of not only the new coach, but like I still think I'm in the minority. I still have suspicions about whether there is something funky in the water with this group of guys. And I think I'm going to find out the answer to that thing that I had, that nervousness over the course of the regular season. I may not, because even if things go great, I don't know that it will necessarily give me the answer. And if things go poorly, there may be, and I don't think they're going to go poorly, but let's just say for argument's sake, the team just did not play very well. There's going to be a lot of reasons probably why we could attribute that to. But now we're really getting putting the cart ahead of the horse, and the Knicks schedule is out. So I saw Bagley tweet about it. I don't know if he was the first one.
Okay. Shout out to Ian Bagley, friend of the pod.
Shout out to Ian Bagley. All right, I'm pulling it up right here. I don't know how you want to do this. If you want to get it up on the screen, or
that's exactly how we're going to do this, John. We have the capability to do that with the services that we subscribe to. Yes,
and it's a video medium. There you go.
There you go. So for those of you listening on the pod later, if you want to check out, like leave now and go watch the YouTube video where we go through the schedule. By all means, please do. For those of you watching along, stay tuned for just a couple seconds as I get this ready. We officially have a schedule for the 2024-25 New York Knicks. Excuse me, 25-26 New York Knicks.
2020 freaking 6. My Lord. What is happening? Okay. We start with 2 games we already knew. 2 home games, which we should note, which come against the Cleveland Cavaliers and against the Boston Celtics. So both of those are big deal games. The opening night is on Tuesday, but like opening night for the rest of the league is on Wednesday. We knew the Knicks would be the 7:00 game there. That comes again against the Cavs. And then the very first ever prime game. I don't know what the official word for that is. Prime game, right?
Sure.
Whatever.
The NBA on Amazon Prime.
There you go. That comes against the Boston Celtics. The Knicks have a day off between those two, so that's good. Continuing right along, we have a little road trip against the Miami Heat, the Milwaukee Bucks, and in the first NBA Cup game of the season, which I could give a shit less about that, they are going to Chicago to face the Bulls. Interesting little 3-game roader there against 3 teams who are supposed to be, I mean, Chicago's in the play-in mix, Bucks, Heat, depending on your opinions on those teams, either in the play-in mix, maybe in the playoff mix. But like, that's a tough little 3-gamer, especially given how well the Bulls always seem to play the Knicks. So right off the bat, Cavs, Celtics, who will be hungry to show that they're not going to be a pushover this year. And then Heat, Bucks, Bulls. Okay. From there, we have how many home games in a row is this?
Looks like 6.
That is 6. And I'm going to ask you to read off those 7 games while I shoot a quick text message to someone.
It actually looks like 7. Yeah, it's 7. So it's basically a home and home because they play the game against Chicago in Chicago on Friday, on Halloween. Then on November 2nd, a Sunday, they play the Chicago Bulls again. So Halloween's on a Friday this year. That's fun. Then Sunday after Halloween on November 2nd, they play the Chicago Bulls. The next night, they play the Washington Wizards at home. Then they play the Minnesota Timberwolves. Welcome back, Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo. Hope one of you stays on Wednesday. Then they play Little Brother, 2 nice little 3 days off, not just for the Knicks, but for those of us that maybe create content about the Knicks against the Brooklyn Nets. On Sunday, they play them on the 9th. And then on 11/11, Make-A-Wish, they play the Memphis Grizzlies. On 11/12, the next night, they play the Orlando Magic, a team that is sure to be better this season after the Des Bane trade. Then they play the last game of this 7-game homestand, also an NBA Cup game, John's favorite, on Friday night against the Miami Heat on Amazon Prime.
So a couple things I'm noting about that 7-game homestand. 1, 7 straight home games. That's as long as you're going to see, basically. 2 straight weeks at home in your own building. So there's 2 back-to-backs in here. But if you look at the back-to-backs, it's Chicago and then Washington the next night. I would say there is no bigger advantage in the NBA this year than getting the Wizards or the Jazz. Am I forgetting a team? Is there another really super, super stinky team? Brooklyn?
Maybe Brooklyn. They don't have their pick this year, though, right?
No, they do have their pick this year.
Oh, they do have their pick this year. Then yes, Brooklyn should be in that conversation.
So getting one of those super, super stinky, we're trying to lose this year teams on the second night of a home back-to-back, because obviously, home back-to-backs or any back-to-backs are tough. If you get them at home, it's better. And if you get against a crap team, it's the best. So the fact that they have Washington on the second night of a back-to-back, I like that right off the bat there. And then the other game on the second half of the back-to-back, and again, it's the 7th straight game at home. So, that's just weird, is the Orlando Magic. So Grizzlies, then Magic. That's a tougher back-to-back. But overall, 7-game homestand against the Bulls, Wizards, Wolves. Obviously, that's rough. And here's the other thing. I'm not sitting here looking, and we're not sitting here looking at the Wolves schedule. So are the Wolves coming on the second night of a back-to-back? We don't know. So, like, I don't know how hard of a game that's going to be for the Wolves. But just on its face, Bulls, Wiz, Wolves, Nets, Grizzlies, Magic. That's like 5-2, 6-1, at home. That I like that. I like that, and I especially like it from the perspective of a team, again, that does have a new coach that is trying to kind of reform its identity maybe, or reassert its identity, or whatever they're trying to do this year. To get all those home games in a row, I know they say the teams come together on the road, but like, I don't know. I kind of like that as like just a stretch there where they could hopefully build up some momentum. We'll see if it ends up turning out that way. Of course, 7 straight home games, you got to pay the piper, and the piper comes immediately after that with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-game road trip. But again, devil's in the details. So you get a couple days off before you have to head to Miami. Interesting little home and home with the Miami Heat. So they end their homestand with the Heat, and then they go on the road to face Miami. Then they head off to Dallas. After they get a day off, go to Dallas. 2 days off, go to Orlando. Second time they're facing Orlando here.
Huh.
Then
you don't find that odd?
What? Dallas to Orlando?
The Miami, Dallas, Orlando. They go to Florida, Texas, Florida. Why not just play like the two Florida teams?
It's not ideal, but like it's Dallas, it's not, LA.
And then they go
Phoenix or something.
to Brooklyn,
and
then they go to Charlotte.
Yeah. Look,
I know both games are home games, but these are technically like you have to travel.
3 of those 4 are in the same time zone, so I'll take it. And especially, again, what I like about that, what's tough in an NBA season? Games at the end of road trips. Who are the Knicks playing at the end of this particular road trip? The Nets and the Hornets. So again, as far as a 5-game road trip can go, I like that. And then looking at this, I like this. 5 out of 6 at home heading into the NBA Cup, which is the first unofficial break, because either they'll be playing in the NBA Cup, in which that's great because that means they'll have done pretty well at least, or they'll get a little bit of extra time off. Even though they have the like the, what is it called? Not the replacement games.
No, that's
consolation games. Everybody plays like games, but it's like how much traveling you're doing. You have to go to Vegas, so on and so forth. Anyway, those games. Bucks, Raptors at home. Then on the road to Boston. Again, no back-to-backs here. Then so this is, again, a little bit tough, but so you go from Boston back home, back-to-back, but who are you facing when you come back home for that back-to-back? You're facing the Hornets. So interesting that the Knicks face the Hornets at the end of a 5-game road trip, and then they face the Hornets on the second night of a road home back-to-back. So Hornets will play prominently in how the Knicks do here to get off to a decent start or whatever. Then you got the Jazz, and then for the third time in how many games? 23 games. They face the Magic. So 3 games against the Magic in the first 23. That's interesting.
Didn't that happen last year? And then they played them. And then they played them again in the NBA Cup, the consolation game.
Did they play them? Oh, they did play them in the consolation game. All right.
Yeah, because they both lost. Both the Knicks and the Magic lost.
That's right. I don't know, man. First 23 games. I mean, it's looking like 21-2 to me. No. I feel pretty good about this. Overall,
a lot of home games. A lot of home games.
Yeah. So first 23, we got 14 home, 9 road. So where are they going to make up for that? Let's get into it. So you got your 2 NBA Cup games. Then you start out the third of the season at the Indiana Pacers, the first rematch of last year's playoffs, obviously. So I'm sure the environment in the Pacers, or in the whatever the arena is called, will be raucous. We'll see how the Pacers do as a team. Then interesting couple of games at home, including again, here's another one. Road, home, back-to-back, going from Indiana back to New York to face the Philadelphia 76ers. Who knows how Philly will be doing? Will they get some momentum early in the season? Will Joel Embiid be playing? Will Paul George be playing? all those considerations. Then we get a second Florida team that the Knicks will be playing for the third time before Christmas in the Miami Heat. Thankfully, that's at home. And now we're getting to the Christmas portion of our schedule. So the Knicks will be at home for Christmas. That's the Cavs game, which has already been announced. However, that is going to be surrounded by road games. Oof. And we got at Minnesota 2 days before Christmas. We got at Atlanta 2 days after Christmas. Both those are going to be tricky. And then you got a day off, then go to New Orleans, another day off, and then a New Year's Eve game against Wemby and the San Antonio Spurs. I hate the fucking New Year's Eve games.
I'm not crazy about the, like, they're playing a noon game after having been in Minnesota 2 nights earlier to then go back on the road to play Atlanta. Like, that's a tough stretch.
That's right, a doozy. So for as much as we're happy about the, getting a break with the Washington in the back-to-back and the Charlotte at the end of the 5-game road trip, that Atlanta game, especially at Atlanta after that schedule, that's the first one I'm looking at. I'm like, oh, that's a schedule loss.
Yeah.
At Atlanta there. So circle that one. Speaking of the Atlanta Hawks.
I mean, John, I'll even just say it. There's a chance Cleveland is a schedule. Like, to be in Minnesota on Tuesday to then less than 36 hours later be playing your Christmas Day game on Thursday.
I think just that, looking at that 5 games at Minnesota, Cleveland, at Atlanta, at New Orleans, at San Antonio, I mean, needless to say, you're signing for 3 and 2 there, and you're probably taking 2 and 3 for that stretch. Again, and New Orleans, one of those tricky teams, which is like you catch them on the right night or the wrong night, I guess. Like, are they healthy? Is Zion playing? Like, they are what they are. So that 5 games is really tough. Get a little bit of a reprieve here. Well, actually, no. Okay. Atlanta at home, Philly at home, but again, Philly on the second night of a back-to-back. So this is now the second time they play Philly, and both games against Philly are on the second night of back-to-back. At least this one, there was no travel involved. Then you got a day off, and this is interesting. You have to wait till game 36 to get a rematch with the Pistons from last year's first round. And that game is at Detroit. That's a Peacock game. I haven't been going through it, but like half of these games are on some kind of national TV. And then you go from Detroit back home for one game against the Clippers. One game. And then after that one game against the Clippers, you got a 4-game road trip out west. Suns, Blazers, Kings, Mike Brown return game, Warriors. I'm looking at this stretch in totality from game 26 to game 41. That's 16 games, right?
Yeah, all the post NBA Cup games.
And then I'm waiting till we get to the second half of the schedule. That 16-game stretch, that's like, can you 9-7? Are you signing for 9-7 there?
Oh, absolutely. But I think they'll go 16-0, so it doesn't matter.
So if we could get,
can I add one other thing? Because
sure,
whether or not they make the NBA Cup kind of matters too. Because if they make it, let's say they make it and lose, right?
Yeah.
Then they'll probably play on the 9th or the 10th, and they lose in the first round, right? The consolation game is then probably on the 13th or 16th, and that allows them to get some time off potentially. Like last year, the Knicks benefited from the fact that they won their bracket. They beat and then
lost. Yeah.
They played at home against the Hawks and lost.
Yeah.
We were all annoyed by said loss.
Very annoyed.
But then that was a
low point.
It was a very low point because like Trey rolled the dice and it was like,
I'm not even talking about that. Remember how they came out in the third quarter?
They got outscored, and it was like one of the tipping points of this. Like, is Mikal Bridges really this susceptible defensively? Like Dyson Daniels turned Brunson's water off. They got outscored by what they did in the second half and all that good stuff. Yeah. But then there was the like, are you really about to get punked by the Hawks and not have to do anything? Like there was that side of it too. Yeah. They then didn't lose a game for the rest of 2024.
I know.
So like we were able to get over it, but they also got a week. They played that Wednesday game against the Hawks, played the Magic on Sunday. It was a Sunday night game. And they didn't play again until Thursday, Cats return game to Minnesota. That I do remember. And that was like, oh, we're rolling, we're on a winning streak. I would wonder if the Knicks could benefit from a similar outcome where they play one game over the course of 6 or 7 days.
I'm going to say 15, if they could get to 15-8 for those first 23 games. And that might sound a little low, but again, new coach, like we don't really know how like anything's going to go because we're going for, I mean, we don't know how it's going to go. If they get to 15-8 there, let's say they split the 2 games during Cup week, so that gets us to 16-9. And then you go 9-7 over those next 16, then you're on a 50-win pace over the first half of the season, albeit a first half of the season in which you have played, I'm fairly certain, more home games than road games. Because what did I say? It was...
I've lost count. And we also don't know what the 2 games will be in the NBA Cup game, so we don't know if they're playing.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So 19 road games to... Oh, no, it's... So there's 39 games on this schedule, right? So
yes.
the 39 appear 2 games we don't know yet. It's 20 home, 19 road. I got to tell you, 20 home, 19 road, but with a West Coast swing, that's pretty even. If they could get on a 50-win pace after those 41 games, I would feel pretty good about it, even though their over-under number is a little bit higher than that. Okay, let's keep it going. So day off. So now we got 3-game homestand. You like that? Those 3 games come against the Suns. Then you got the MLK Junior Day game on NBC against the Dallas Mavericks. And then you got the Nets. So I like that coming to start the second half of the season. Then you go on the road, short road trip, take a bus to Philly. Again, there's some nice days off between all these. Then you come back home for Sacramento. And now it's a back-to-back, and you're crossing country lines because you're going up to Toronto. Is this their first game against the Raptors? No. No, they have a game against...
They play in November.
End of November.
Yeah. I'm not even reacting to the Raptors. I'm reacting to the fact that this is the 3rd year in a row that the first weekend of February is the Lakers.
Yes.
What is it about that weekend that they decide, we should make the Knicks play the Lakers? But
because football's over or football's almost over?
No. This is always the weekend before the trade deadline. The last 2 years, it's been that. Because remember, we watched the Lakers beat the Knicks, and then we heard Luka get traded to them. So what's going to be the thing this year?
Well, I mean, we'll find out. Well, we're not quite there yet because we got, okay. Suns, Mavs, Nets, road Philly, home Kings, road Raptors. Again, you have to travel to Toronto on the second night of back-to-back. Is that a schedule loss? Maybe we'll see. Then you're back home for Portland and the aforementioned Lakers. Quick road trip to Washington and then back home for Denver. That's going to be interesting. What can you get away with in Washington on February 3rd, and how much can you leave in the tank for the next night facing the Nuggets? I believe this is the first Nuggets game of the year. That's late to be playing a team for the first time, even a West Coast team. But overall, I like that. The Denver game's tough, but everything before that, even with the Lakers, that's a manageable start to the second half of your schedule. Then you get a tricky little road trip, 2-game road trip at Detroit, at Boston, home for Indiana, back on the road for Philly. Fucking A, man. Philly, again, the third. This happened with Cleveland last year. 3 of their Cleveland games were on second nights of back-to-back. Now here we go. 3 of their freaking Sixer games are on the second night of back-to-back. And this one, another one with travel. Very annoying. And that's the All-Star break. So tough going into the All-Star break. But how many games is that? 55 minus 41. So that's 14 more games. I don't know. 9-6?
No, 10
9-5. 9-5. Sorry.
10-4. Stop it. By then they're gelling. They've started to really find a groove under their new head coach. The vibes are immaculate, as they say.
So what are we up to? We're up to 35 and 20?
35 and 20.
35 and 20.
Yeah.
Done. They don't have to play the season. It was great. Okay. Out of the All-Star break. Here we go. Pistons and Rockets. First time they're playing the Rockets, right?
Yes.
Yeah, first time they're playing the Rockets. So it's even later than Denver. That's a tough two coming out of the gate. And then they play the Rockets at home. It's nice that they get to play the Rockets at home, but then immediately on the road to go to Chicago. Don't love that. Then from Chicago to Cleveland, and then from Cleveland to Milwaukee. So we have a little Central Division 3-game road trip. That's a given the fact that the Chicago game comes on the second night of the back-to-back, I think that makes that road trip even trickier. Then you're back home to face the Spurs, back on the road to Toronto, and then really, guys, so you got to play the fucking defending world champion Oklahoma City Thunder on the second night of a back-to-back with travel. Are you fucking kidding me?
Not great, Bob.
And then,
yeah.
This is
where here's the stretch. Here's the stretch. The March swoon that hits every year. Okay.
All right, bend over and say at Denver, at the Lakers. You like that one? At Denver, at the Lakers, at the Clippers, at the Jazz, and then Jesus, at Indiana. So they tacked on a East Coast game. And I think
Midwest game.
I think they
on the way back. We'll play Indiana.
Yeah. And I think they did this last year too. The Lakers and Clippers road games are on a back-to-back. I think they did that last year.
Yes, they did, because Brunson got hurt in the Laker game, and then the next night Josh Hart played 49 minutes.
So let's actually take you know what? Honestly, let's just go real quick from the All-Star break. Pistons Rockets at home. Back-to-back to Chicago. At Cleveland. At Milwaukee. San Antonio home. At Toronto. Oklahoma City at home. Second night back-to-back. Then across the country to Denver. Lakers Clippers on a back-to-back. Jazz Pacers. That's tough. And then your reward once you finally get home is the Warriors on an NBC game on Sunday night.
That's a stretch.
How many games is that? That's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's a 14-game stretch if I've just added correctly.
Yeah.
14.
By the way, this is actually the third year in a row, now that I'm remembering, that the Lakers Clippers road trip is back-to-back games.
Man, that's 14 games. Where do I sign for 7-7 there?
With last year's team. They're going to go 10-4 again.
I am putting us at 42 and 32. No, that can't be right.
No, 42 and 27. Yeah.
42 and 27. We're at 42 and 27. Okay. Home stretch. So with that Warrior game I mentioned was at home. Then you got Indiana at home. Indiana, second night of a back-to-back. So a lot of these, who knows what the hell the Pacers...
Wait, no.
What?
There's a day off.
Oh, no, sorry. I was seeing things. I thought that was a 6. It was a 5. I'm really getting old. Who knows what Indiana's going to be by that portion of the season? Maybe they're leaning into the tank. I don't think they will, but you never know. And then on the road to Memphis.
This is a back-to-back. Memphis is after Indiana, so you're in Memphis after playing at home the night before.
Yeah, but Memphis, they tend to get less healthy as the season goes along, not more healthy. So
yes.
And then you got Brooklyn on the road in full tank mode. Then back home, speaking of full tank mode, Wizards, Pelicans. All right.
This is the get fat stretch. Yeah. This is the buffet line.
The buffet line is at Brooklyn. Well, maybe starting with at Memphis, although again, it's a travel back-to-back.
Hold on, John, you just said it. Maybe starting with Indiana.
Okay, so let's take that. Indiana at Memphis, but the Memphis game, again, you're traveling, and it's the back-to-back, so we don't know. At Brooklyn, Washington home, New Orleans home, at Charlotte. Then you go to Oklahoma City. At least they give them 2 days off. And the Thunder could have everything wrapped up because now we're talking about game 76. And if this season is anything like last season, the Thunder will have everything wrapped up by then. But knowing them, they'll play everybody. And then you got at Houston. So Thunder and Rockets, the teams with two best over-unders in the West. The Knicks are playing not on a back-to-back, but 2 games in a row, both on the road. So then you get the buffet line, and then you get boom, boom. And then here's your closing stretch, your last 5 games, 4 of which are at home. Chicago at home, at Atlanta, Boston at home, Toronto at home, Charlotte at home. It seems like they finish against the Celtics, Raptors, and Hornets every year.
They didn't last year.
They did the year before, I think, or one of the previous couple of years. Okay.
So it's 13 games to close it out with outside of the Houston, OKC, and Atlanta games on the road. And if you want to say the Memphis on the second night of a back-to-back is a tough game, there's potential tankathon chicanery with Boston being the caveat that I think they'll be fighting it out for a play-in game, but it is at home. If you want to be optimistic, you could say 9-4. If you want to be safer, you could say 8-5, 7-6. 9-4 puts them at 54 wins, which would match the total of the 2013 team.
I think I'm looking at a 51 win team.
Same as last year. They're winning the exact same number as last year. Okay.
Same as last year.
Are you projecting full health 51 wins?
I mean, I'm baking in injury stuff.
And an Obi injury here, a Mitch injury there.
Look, in theory, if one of the skepticisms that people have of the Mike Brown era / one of the benefits that people think will come from the Mike Brown era is that he's going to work more guys into the rotation, then theoretically those guys will be more ready to play if and when they are called upon. Of course, I must point out, when the end of the bench guys were called upon last year, they looked pretty freaking ready. Now, granted, a lot of those guys came, it was during the stretch when Brunson was out and they were playing the cupcake portion of the schedule. But like, that was when your DeLon Wrights and your Tyler Kolex and your Landry Shamans of the world like looked really good. So I don't know. Neither here nor there. I'm 51 wins, same as last year.
I'll go 54. They'll match the 2013 team. My bigger question is, this is more for Claudio Casino, John, but how many teams do you see finishing ahead of them with those 51 wins you project?
I think 51 wins get you the second seed in the East.
So you have Cleveland as 1 right now.
I mean, I've had Cleveland as the best regular season team in the East since, I don't know.
I think they got a potentially better, and they won 63 games last year. So it's not a crazy thing to say that, or 64 games last year. Regardless, I think the Knicks will win more games than they did last season, but I also think an injury could change that. Obviously,
I think your doomsday is like they really try to shift course, offensive philosophy, defensive philosophy. Fucking what snack foods you could bring to meetings, whatever. They try to really shift things up within the team, and those shifts take some time to ferment. And that easier portion over the first third of their schedule, instead of whatever we said, 16-7 or 17 and whatever that, instead of something really good, they're not fattening up as much as they should. And then, like, say what you want about the rest of the schedule, there are not many pockets where you're like, oh, we could take a deep breath. Like, there's that one towards the end of the year. There's kind of sort of one at the beginning of the second half of the schedule. But for the most part, after you come out of that NBA Cup, it's go time, baby, for the rest of the year. Even so, like, I don't know. What's the bottom for this team? 46 wins, 47 wins? And the top is like you said, is it 54? Is it 55? Is it am I lowballing it, or is it higher than that? I don't know.
I think you're lowballing the top a lot. I think the median
is a 60-win team here
easily in this conference. John, this conference.
So
in this conference.
Here's the thing. Let's come back to. Hold on. I gotta pull up the over under. The over under NBA over unders. I get the top of the conference is weak. I get that. The top of the conference is weak. But like we're talking about, okay, so via Vegas, third best team in the East, Orlando Magic. Okay, or Magic, third best team in the East, soft conference. But then you keep going. Hawks 4th, Pistons 5th, Bucks 6th, Celtics 7th, Sixers, who the hell knows, 8th, Pacers 9th, Heat 10th. I'm sorry, but if the Heat are projected to be the 10th best team in your conference, like the Heat are a team that, in my estimation, could come in, or you could go into their building or whatever, and they're capable of beating you because they have like a representative NBA team. The 11th best team in the conference, the Toronto Raptors, is a little bit more of a we'll see, but like got a lot of talent. Who the hell knows? It might come together. The Chicago Bulls, who went like 14-8 or something down the stretch of last season, they're projected to be the 12th best team in the Eastern Conference. Are the Bulls capable of beating you on the right night? Absolutely. And I know because I saw it last year multiple times. We're really only talking about two like sub-basement level teams and then a Charlotte Hornets team that like something just seems to be off in the water there, but like, you know, you never know. So like that's where I think the whole in this conference thing may be a little overblown. All that said, I don't know what odds would you what odds do you bet? What odds do you need? Shout out to Fanatics. What odds would you need to bet for 60 wins?
Plus 500.
Oh, I need plus 1,000.
You need plus 1,000. Okay. Maybe plus 1,000 is like 10 to 1 odds is smarter than that. You asked for the ceiling. And the ceiling of this team is like maybe it's closer to like 58 wins. Fine, 57 wins. Like I'll be more conservative about it. I'm saying you're saying the Miami Heat is the 10th seed. You don't know the team we beat 4 times last year.
I'm sorry. You're right. Ceiling, fine.
Yeah, that's
fine.
all the ceiling.
60 wins. They are so happy to not have Tom Thibodeau as their head coach, put Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart aside, even though secretly they're probably not. It's like, this is a
or they're winning and they're very happy, John. I'm not saying this has anything to do with Tibbs or the upgrade in coach.
No, I am. Because, you know, when you come on, we've talked about this so many times over the last several months. When you're in situations where your day-to-day life, as productive as it may be, is like oppressive, and then you change situations. On Mike Brown, we've heard he can be a little bit of a hard ass in certain areas, but like however it happens, if there is a verve about the team that they had been missing last year, and they're just like, hey, basketball, this is pretty fun after all, and that takes hold, then yeah, sure, we might be looking at a 60-win team. I'm personally not banking on it.
I'm not banking on it either. I was just trying to make the case that the ceiling is a 60-win
You made the case.
Team.
You made the
case.
It's
largely because. So let me play it out a different way as you went down the extremely mid-conference that they're in. So yes, they're top. I actually think they're top heavy, and their top 2 have a 60-win ceiling, just like last year.
Sure.
Do you think there's a third 50-win team in the conference?
Do I think there will be?
Yes.
No.
Okay. So we're already saying there will be fewer 50-win teams than there were last season.
Yes, but I think that there could be 5 teams that win between 44 and 48, 49 games.
Like they did last year. The Miami Heat were 37-45 last season. As a 10
And I think they had the year from hell because they lost every close game and they had the whole Butler saga. So
if you want to give them, we talked about Indiana with potential tanking.
Okay, let me go even simpler. I think the Magic will be better than last year. I think the Hawks will be better than last year. I think the Pistons will be better than last year. I think the Bucks will be
around the same.
Let's say around the same because they were so dysfunctional at points, especially when they played the Knicks. So I think the Bucks, look, I know as everybody's yelling, like, what are you talking about? They'll be about the same. They don't have Damian Lillard. I think the Bucks will find an identity that won't be as good as the ceiling of last year's team, but I think they will find something that will work for them, unless Giannis is just completely out on the situation, in which case they'll be a lot worse. The Celtics, obviously, will be a lot worse. Well, they'll be worse, but they're one team. The Sixers can't be worse, I don't think.
Wow. They're not incentivized to be worse this time.
Fine. The Pacers will be worse. Okay, so that's two teams that we know will be worse. Maybe a third team in the Bucks. The Heat, I think, will be better. The Raptors, I think, will be better. The Bulls are the Bulls. And then you get to the Dregs. So that, to me, that even with the in-between teams that we're not sure about, I think there are more teams that will be better than last year's version than will be worse than last year's version. You know? So that's
I'm not going to completely dismiss the notion, John, because I haven't done my over-unders yet, like done the spreadsheet of counting. I forget how many total wins are available, but you go and make the spreadsheet.
1,200 something. Yeah.
Right. So I haven't done the fill in every team with your projected wins and see where the Knicks and how everybody in the East falls. They won 51 last year, and we just went over it. They largely crawled their way from January 2nd on. And I think this year they'll be doing it with a full off season with their starting 5 or their starting 7, knowing who they are. All the additions are additional rotation pieces on the fringes. A head coach that gets to instill a philosophy and identity that they can build from day one with the roster that's already in place. I think a lot of that's coming off a conference finals run. A lot of it is going to benefit them going into this year. I would probably agree they're not going to be the 1 seed. I'm not as like, oh no, the Eastern Conference might have 7 40-win teams is where I'm
Andrew,
at.
We're 3 wins apart. So it's not like we see things.
Oh no, I think they'll win 70 games, John. What are you talking about? No.
Look, last year they won 51 games and it felt at times like the season from hell. The reason was because they couldn't beat anyone good. I think this year has a distinct possibility of feeling like, okay, there's something good happening here. There's something growing here. We're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, or at least we see what they're trying to do, even if it might look worse before it looks better. But, and again, I don't want to bring it all back to Tibbs, but like they, for yet another year, won pretty much all the games that they were supposed to win last year. And we've always kind of baked that into any projections that we had. As the team potentially works a new identity, even with the same personnel, should we not pencil in all the wins that are quote unquote you're supposed to get? That's all I'm saying.
I think that's your best argument, that the Tibbs thing is no longer a thing, that they're not
better and worse.
Right. But like, they're no longer going to be in December with like, you now have to play all these minutes because we have to beat this team with the Sixers. Like, again, for better or worse, those December wins proved to be very necessary. Not that home court against the Pacers mattered during the conference finals.
The Wizards game, where Campaign didn't get off the bench in the second half.
Right.
That went into overtime. Like
Brunson had 55 points.
Yeah. If Tibbs isn't coaching that game because he's a fucking Looney Tune, maybe they lose that game. You know what? That's all I'm
agreeing. No, I'm agreeing.
Yeah,
I'm agreeing.
Okay.
That's like December probably doesn't have its winning streak, but maybe you get a better look at what Kolek is or what Dadier is or whatever kid that everybody outcries for. And that's why I opened this before the schedule came out with the question of how much does the regular season matter to you? Like, how excited are you for the actual regular season schedule? Because is the regular season about data collection this time? Is it more about finding out what you can trust for a very important playoff run? Or are we parsing out, well, no, they have to be a 51-win team. No, it'll be a 54-win team. No, they'll win 60. And I think it's a fascinating perspective of what this season will be.
I'm never going to sit here and be like, I don't care about how many wins they get, because that's a lie. But like, I want to see, where do they rank in pace? How many seconds per touch, or how many dribbles per touch?
Yeah, what's different?
Does Jalen Brunson have? How, is Cat's 3-point volume going to go up? Or is his assists going to go up? What are the minutes going to look like? What happens on the second night of a back-to-back or the first night of a back-to-back in terms of who plays and who sits? All that stuff. Like how many small lineups, how many minutes per game are we getting Deuce and Brunson or Clarkson and Brunson or Clarkson and Brunson and Deuce? Like that. This is the stuff that I'm excited to see, and it's all going to play out. Okay. We've been talking for almost an hour. I don't even know. Do we have any super chats?
We have several. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's get to them. Here we go.
Real quick. This is the new national TV schedule. Go ahead, John.
So we got Sunday is going to be either an ABC game or an NBC Peacock game. Do I have that right?
Yes.
Monday will be Peacock games. Tuesday, NBC Peacock. Wednesday, ESPN. Thursday, Prime. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, actually, Prime. But also Friday will also be ESPN, and Saturday will also be ABC. I'm assuming when there are two options listed, it means you will be able to watch a game either on Prime or ESPN, for instance?
That's a great question.
Or will there be one game on Prime and one game on ESPN?
I think you're looking at double headers here. Like you're looking at every Thursday we'll have two. Like this replaces.
Well, no, Thursday is just Prime, but like Friday.
No, I'm saying like Thursday replaces the TNT doubleheader.
Look, I just need to. I need to know one thing. I don't have cable in this house as of right now. Am I going to need to get cable? I really hope not.
You're going to need to get Peacock, but this may be where Knicks Film School does a little expensing. But that's at the same time, damn Prime too. I canceled mine last night.
I have Prime already. I'll give you my. Oh, I shouldn't say that loud.
Well, no,
I'll give you my login.
Again, we might be able to shout out Knicks Film School.
No.
That movie, the remake of War of the Worlds with Ice Cube is on Amazon Prime, and it's god awful. I canceled my subscription in protest 30 minutes in. Yes, you're gonna invade the art form with this nonsense.
I have Prime. My mother-in-law has it, so we go on hers. I think I watch it. Not only do I watch it less than any other streamer, by far, I don't even go on. Okay, let's get to some super chats, and we'll.
Sounds good. Someone is asking in the regular chat, when are games also available on MSG? I gotta be honest, I don't know. I would imagine most of the games are available that are on the streaming service, like on Peacock, are on MSG, but I genuinely don't know what the like if you're on MSG, are you also on Peacock? If you're on Prime, are you also on MSG? Like I genuinely don't know, unfortunately. I wonder, because honestly, John, it's like the you don't watch the Yankee games, but the Yankees have games on Prime Video right now. So there are games that are on, yes, but you're available on Prime Video, not on your cable subscription. So I wonder if it's something like that. Time will tell. This is the first year of a brand new TV slate, so we'll see what happens. Got 4 super chats.
I think Kevin also DM'd me about this. Just Kevin Danishevsky, shout out to you. Just here to express disgust that you ranked RJ over IQ.
He DM'd all of us, Sean. Okay. Literally all of us.
Kevin, I did it when I first did my rankings. I did it and I looked back at it and I said, oh, that's interesting. And it was like kind of my instinct to do it originally. I did think about it some more. That specifically, I will say that we have an episode upcoming in which me and Andrew and a special surprise guest who has perhaps loved Emmanuel Quickly as much or more than anyone here at Knicks Film School, discuss that specific thing for a solid 15, 20 minutes. And I encourage you to listen to that when it drops tonight.
Whenever it comes out, so people don't get spoiled for when the next person on the list may come out. Yes.
Sorry. Whenever it comes out.
Whenever it comes out.
Whenever it
Kevin,
comes out.
Don't worry. Also, Kevin, love you. Take this to someone else's house. I have IQ ranked higher than RJ. Also, Brett Beatty sucks. Next person.
Riyadh Raheem. What's going on, Riyadh? How you doing? Is there as much urgency this year to win a chip with a weak East than the 93, 94, 94, 95 seasons without Jordan?
Ooh, that's a great question.
So 94, 95, it's funny, like that, nobody thinks about that season anymore because they lost in the second round. I mean, if you remember that season, that series was as painful as any series because it had the double whammy of 8 points in 8.9 seconds and the finger roll. But nobody thinks about, like, outside of Knicks fans, maybe nobody thinks about that Knicks team because they lost in the second round. And like, it was very clear by the time they got to the playoffs that was not a legitimate contender. Plus, Jordan had come back. If you trust Basketball Reference, and Andrew, if you want to double check me on this, I believe they started that season with the 4th best championship odds, and they were decent championship odds. I think they were like plus 450 to win it all. If correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what they were. That said, like, I think there is definitely more urgency.
Second best odds, tied for the second best odds.
94, 95?
Yep. Phoenix had the best odds at plus 350. And
to win it all.
Yes, to win it all. And they were tied with the Rockets, Magic, and Supersonics.
At what? Plus what?
Plus 450.
Well, I was right about the plus 450. Okay.
Yeah.
The real conversation for me is 93, 94 versus this season. Which one had more pressure? To win it all, 93, 94. Without question, 93, 94 had more pressure to win it all because Jordan was the boogeyman. Jordan was gone. There was no boogeyman in the West, with all due respect to Hakeem Olajuwon, David Robinson, Karl Malone, Charles Barkley. But there was no thought that, like, you know, like like this is finally the next year to win it all. This year, national media wise, it's already like, you know, which East team can get to the finals. And I feel like there was already a presumption that whoever the East team is that gets to the finals is probably not going to win the finals. So I'll say less pressure to win it all, which then leads us to the inevitable conversation of, like, if this Knicks team gets to the finals and loses in whatever fashion they lose, it almost doesn't even matter. How does this, like, is this era a success? Like, you know, probably not because they didn't win it all, but does it build momentum for next year when Halliburton's back and when Tatum's back? That's an interesting conversation to me. If they lose in the finals, like, how does that get taken? I'm gonna have to think about that one some more. But more pressure to win the championship, 93, 94 for me.
Yeah, there was no. But to your point about no boogeyman, like, the league as a whole, it felt like, oh, it wasn't just an Eastern Conference thing in 93, 94. It was an NBA thing. Oh, it's wide open because Michael Jordan and the Bulls were winning every year. And then when he came back, they won every year. So it was a collection of superstars and franchises that thought they had a chance. This year is largely an Eastern Conference thing. And as much as if the Knicks make the finals, I would be devastated however they lose. If they lose it, there will be a NBA Finals played in June at Madison Square Garden, and I will be able to at least look at that as a step forward for a franchise that hasn't done that since 1999.
Without question, it would be a step forward. It doesn't matter who they play. It doesn't matter how they get there. This is also very much an Oklahoma City conversation because there was a distinct feeling that the Thunder won the championship while they're at like 70% of what their offensive capacity is going to be when Chet continues to progress and when J-Dub continues to progress a little bit more and when, like, those three guys as a collective unit get better at playing off of each other and playing along with one another, and to say nothing of, like, the Case and Wallaces and the, you know, all their other guys in their system. So, like, it has so much to do for me with Oklahoma City and the presumption that they are going to take a step up. But, like, what if Oklahoma City's not waiting there in June for whoever comes out of the East? What if it's the Rockets or the Nuggets or the Thunder or the Wolves or the Lakers or the whoever? You know.
Do you have an early unofficial prediction for who comes out of the West?
Oh, I think the Thunder are gonna.
Okay.
But I mean, yeah.
I think my unofficial and superstitious Knicks fans, cover your ears. I think we may get a chance to relive the 1994 finals.
Oh, wow.
That's my unofficial prediction.
Okay. Next up. I don't even know. I'm not even going to do anything with that. Benny Bills 26. My resolution this year is more super chats. Hashtag let's go Knicks.
Thank you, Benny Bills.
Benny, thank you, and thank you to everybody whoever sends in super chats. We're just happy you watch and listen. I'll tell you that. And then Hush Zoo. Hope y'all's off season has been going good. Very excited for Knicks on NBC. Who do you think is taking the last spot? I think it's going to be Simmons. I don't even know what he's talking about.
The last spot on the Knicks.
Can I tell you? I swear to God, you know what I thought he was talking about initially?
Is Bill Simmons going to join NBC?
Are we talking?
I'd much rather that be the reality than what you're talking about, Hush. That Ben Simmons joins the New York Knicks.
Look, I haven't really talked about it, but like, what's my motto? Ian Begley always says less than he lets on, or always lets on less than he knows. The fact that he dropped in the mailbag, and this is not the first time he has like dropped little hints of like, well, the only way they'd be able to get another veteran more than a 0-year player is if they made a trade. I think Shamit's going to be back on the team, and I'm not that I've heard anything. I'm just going by what, is already out there and what makes logical sense. Like, it makes sense to have Landry Shamet back. Man, the reaction if they dumped Kolek or Dadier. I haven't even done the math. I don't even know if it would be like enough to, if like the difference in salary between like Dadier and like, I don't know. Putting that aside, but I'm just thinking of the reaction if they dumped a young player to sign Ben Simmons.
Oh my God. I would be you should be apoplectic.
Listen.
For I don't Ben get Simmons?
I don't get apoplectic over any player that I don't know for a fact is like a contributing player to winning basketball. So I'm not going to be apoplectic.
Is Ben Simmons a contributing player to winning basketball? All right, I'm just going to let you talk to Benji about Tyler Kolek then, and then we'll hopefully... I think Tyler Kolek will contribute more to winning basketball than Ben Simmons for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, probably. Almost certainly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just, if they do it, I'll sigh and I'll roll my eyes. But am I going to lose sleep that night?
You won't be apoplectic, but you'll be upset and disappointed. Okay, so you won't be happy or nonchalant. You'll be upset. Yeah.
More than anything, I would be confused because we just got done reading weeks worth of reports that the whole thing with Mike Brown is like, how are you going to work in the young players if they're not necessarily in the rotation? And like, how are you going to not lean on the veterans as much and so on and so forth?
You know who would love to coach a team that has Mitchell Robinson, Ben Simmons, and Josh Hart potentially in the second unit? Tom Thibodeau.
No, but wouldn't that, it would, I mean, and this honestly is probably the biggest reason why I wouldn't be apoplectic. That to me would signal less about, boy, we really need Ben Simmons to make our push to the finals this year. It would signal to me more like whatever we've seen over the last year out of young player X, we saw enough to know like, yeah, we're good here. We don't think this guy has the goods. And that would be like disappointing in a different sense because it would mean that they would have expended a draft pick on a potentially valuable draft pick on someone that wasn't very good.
Yeah, that they gave up on after a year. I hope it's not Ben Simmons. I need to do some housekeeping with the regular chat before we get out of here. So I'm not going to, it's too many chats to fully go to, and Dirty Dancer, I'm not fully calling you out, but I see you responding to the rules of the 25 for 25. First of all, he's upset that the 2000 playoffs don't count. And I will just say this, Dirty Dancer. I originally filled out my list as if they did.
You did.
And then John, multiple people did. And then John clarified to the group, it's the past 25 seasons. It's not the past 25 years. It's not this century. It's the past 25 seasons, which
and my rationale,
2001.
My rationale, one, it makes it clearer because I don't have to go back and look at like, well, what did this guy do in March of 2000? But more importantly, I just thought it was fitting given that Patrick Ewing, who had defined the franchise for the previous, whatever it was, 15 seasons, left after the 2000 season. And that seemed like such a natural point of demarcation. So why not do it then?
It was fine criteria. I'm just saying, if you have an issue with it, take it up with John, because Mr. Danishevsky, take that up with Andrew. He set the rules there. I didn't set shit. This genius, I actually think is genius, comes from Mr. Macri. So if you have a complaint, take it up at the Macri complaint department. He gave out the Gmail the other day. Go back and look at it. Also, Phil Abongo, 94 finals without OJ. You know what? I'm going to predict everything from 94 happens in 2026. Okay. There will be a thing that catches our attention during game 5 of the NBA finals.
Who would be the OJ this year?
Ooh.
Who is a former high-profile athlete that
this could get dark. This could get very dark how we predict it.
That has entered celebrity. Oh my, no, because
could it be like Ohtani gets found gambling, officially connected to him, and then he's on the run up the whatever the freeway is that OJ was on?
I don't know. There has to be a murder involved.
If there has to be a murder involved, I don't want to play the game anymore.
Okay.
I don't want to kill anybody.
You know what? Tune back to KFS.
Never mind. Phil Abongo has the right answer. Tom Brady. There you go. Tom Brady.
He's in the limelight. He's an announcer now.
Yep. He realizes he's bad at it, and that his face isn't real anymore.
No murder. He like, does he have a kid with his ex-wife or something?
He has multiple kids with his ex-wife. Yes.
So he like kidnaps the kids and he goes.
There you go, and just goes up the California freeway, and Julian Edelman is the driver instead of AC Cowlings
or Wes Welker.
There you go. Pick a white wide receiver. Chris Hogan. All of them. Danny Amendola. Oh wow, we figured it out, everybody. So Tom Brady will be this year's O.J. Simpson as the Knicks are playing the Rockets in the NBA Finals this June.
And instead of a bloody glove like DNA thing, there's like a paternity test involved.
And there's when they test it, it's for. I was gonna work in strawberries into this some way because he like says if you eat strawberries every day, you'll play football till you're 45.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's part of the TB12 method, also known as steroids. Anyway,
this has been fun. Thank you so much, Andrew Claudio, for humoring me and doing yet another schedule relief emergency live stream. Check back soon for another episode of 25 for 25. We're going to be continuing those throughout the summer with some more special guests coming on. I think that is it. Everybody enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace out.